Good morning. As you've heard, my talk is on new growth. This was suggested to me because I asked, because it's spring and the days are getting longer, the sun is out, might start getting a little warmer during the day, and it's when the natural world starts to do a lot of new growth. As I was preparing this message, I was thinking about Martin Luther King Jr. because of the recent holidays celebrating his life and his work. And when I think of Martin Luther King Jr., I think about his speech about having a dream. And dreams are where new growth come from. And I was thinking about how he dreamed into existence, him along with other people, of course, things that had never yet existed in our country. The United States of America had never seen children of different skin colors attending schools together, peacefully and playing together. And I was thinking about how he used peaceful protest and civil disobedience as some of his main ways to make change in day-to-day activities and in legislature. And he maintained his own humanity in his quest to bring more humanity into our nation and the world. And I've been thinking about how humanity is in our nature. It's a spiritual truth. We are humans. Being humane is like, I would call it the will of God. And love prevails over hate, and you can't fight inhumanity with inhumanity, just like you can't fight fire with fire. You can't create new growth by chopping off new leaves that are growing. You can't create through destruction. You can temporarily gain power that way. But I have a quote on this later. Love will prevail. New growth will prevail. And one of the reasons I want to do this talk is because I'm in Science of Mind 2. And what has caught my attention there is the ways to not undo your new growth. So we do learn from the mistakes of others so that we can go down a different path and not make those same mistakes. So you can't grow a seed by planting it in the soil and then go and digging it up. That doesn't work. More on that later. So in Science of Mind 2, we're studying the writings of Judge Troward in his book on the Edinburgh Lectures. And I see some similar principles at work there that I see in Martin Luther King's life and examples. Because truth is truth, and you start seeing it showing up in multiple places with multiple people over time, in multiple situations. Here's a lovely quote in the book that we're reading saying, "Universal mind is not bound by precedent." And now I'm going to quote a TV show called The Witcher, which says, "What is need not always be." We can grow things that are new, that have never existed before, either in the entire world or in our personal lives. It's all new growth. And the universal mind is the mind of God, and God is unlimited. So all things are possible. So when we dream, we can dream big. Judge Troward also says in this book, "It is the sincere intention that is the essential thing. And this will, in time, release us from the bondage of habit that at present seems almost inseparable. So, in other words, our real desire to accomplish this dream is very important, it's key. And it releases us from getting stuck in all the things that seem like obstacles to accomplishing our goals. And Martin Luther King Jr., he believed. And we got up there and he spoke, and he was a wonderful speaker. He spoke with conviction and belief and faith and optimism, and he saw it, and he said, this can be, join me, and people believed and they joined, and we have more humanity in the world than we had before. And it elevated us all to a higher spiritual truth about ourselves and our humanity. And I'm grateful for that. To make a point, he didn't get up there and say, I think maybe we can do this. I'm not sure. Because that would be undoing it. That would be pulling back from the dream and saying, like, I want this to happen, but it's not really going to happen. That's not helpful. To paraphrase Troward, this is not a direct quote, but some of it. Anxious endeavor or despair reverses the action of original cause. Faith is efficient. So again, that sincere belief makes things happen. And in that statement, it reverses the action of original cause. That original cause is the spiritual plane, where we plant our ideas in the unlimited potential of God. If we start cutting off the little things that are growing by inspecting it and digging up the seed and worrying about it and saying, like, I don't think it's gonna happen, then that's not helpful. So be faithful, be calm. Don't feel like you need to rush it. It's gonna be in God's timing and God's way. It's cool. Don't stress. He also says, Troward also says, when we're thinking about our dream, such contemplation should be accompanied by a feelings of pleasure and restfulness in foreseeing the certain accomplishment of our desires. So again, Martin Luther King, he had his speech, I have a dream. It feels like this. You could feel the dream when he's talking. And we have accomplished a lot as a nation. There's still more work to do. And on a slightly different note, when we plant that seed in the spiritual plane of unlimited potential, it will manifest if things don't get in the way of it manifesting. Even if, which has happened many times in the course of human existence, that people have been murdered, executed, assassinated for dreaming big and bringing righteousness and justice and more humanity into our world. And yet those dreams can still manifest because it's been planted in the unlimited potential mind of God. I also want to talk about the idea that we don't have to do this all alone. We have each other. We have New Thought Community. We have our ministers, and we have God. Going with the metaphor or allegory of planting a seed, we didn't create the seed. We didn't create the soil. We don't make the seed grow. We just learn about natural law. How do seeds grow? Maybe we plant it in the right soil at the right time and water it in due season, and things grow. So we do that with ourselves. We dream, we do prayer treatment, and then we see opportunities to enact things that we're like, oh, this will help me accomplish these goals. And we do it, and things go really well, and we say, thank you. By focusing on the new growth and the dream, and with pleasure and restfulness, we more easily recognize that which is serving our goal, making our dream come true. It feels good when we're on that right path. It registers in our emotions, and we're like, yes, this feels good. And then it gets easier to know when something pops up and it's like a weed in the garden. And we're like, that's not going to help me grow. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't look right. It doesn't smell good. You pull it out and you're like, I'm done with that. I'm going to stop thinking that way. I'm going to get back on track. So when you really focus on your dream and the way it feels and how it's manifesting, it clears your vision, and it clears the way. And this is why we meditate, to clear our vision so we can keep our focus on our goals. One more quote from Troard. We must therefore regard our mental creations as spiritual realities, and then implicitly trust the law of growth to do the rest. Know that it's true. So again, just tying it back up to Martin Luther King, before I wrap this up, I do want to point out he dreamed that which was spiritual and righteous and inherently true about people. He saw the good in people, and he allowed us all to elevate ourselves to a spiritual higher truth, because he saw the good and he knew it was true, and because it's true, it could be manifested. And I'm grateful for that. And I encourage you to identify what your dreams are, big and small. God doesn't see any difference between big and small. If your dream right now is to enjoy a nice, delicious cup of coffee, then make that happen. And then you'll move on to the next thing and you make something else wonderful happen as well. And so please, dream big, and bring more wonderfulness into this world. Thank you. I love you. Have a wonderful day.